Every day, we strive to preserve traditions that have spanned generations.
Around every turn of the bayou, Mother Nature reveals unique people, places, and experiences.
And the bounty of animals and fish. Well, in Louisiana, we just call that lagniappe. I'm Don Dubuque.
I'm Chris LeCoq.
I'm Captain Martha Spencer. Join us as we document the adventure,
Sportsmanship,
and heritage that make us Bayou Wild.
Welcome to Bayou Wild TV. It's kind of hard to believe that we have now filmed over 100 episodes and 5 seasons of Bayou Wild, but 2020 was a great year for us. Despite all the challenges we saw in the country, we still got to go on some amazing adventures, some in our own backyard, some several miles and several state lines away. This episode, we're going to take a look back at some of those great adventures we had in 2020.
She just picked up her head.
Mm-hmm.
You see her?
Mm-hmm. I'm on the hook for her.
Okay. All right, y'all ready? All right, fire in the hole. We have an axis doe down. We're gonna bring her to the skinning shed, and after that, once we get her all cleaned up, we're gonna donate it to Hunters for the Hungry for some needy people. We'll have some nice meals.
It's very easy for, a school to do a canned good drive, or for a grocery store to put out a bin where you can, drop off, boxes of pasta and rice and that sort of thing. But nobody really has a program except for us where we can provide lean protein, the deer meat, the fish, the duck. There's nothing else like us in, Louisiana to be able to gather this protein for the 5 major food banks that we work with throughout the state.
You get a certain amount of meat, fish, whatever it might be, and you kind of have an expiration date. And if you cannot use it, well then guess what's going to happen? If you can donate it, there are people that are definitely going to be able to use it a lot quicker than you are.
Sorry. By the time I overthought, shoot ahead, shoot behind, get my gun up, they're gone. So.
What happens is you've got a lot of things you got to be conscious of. You've got dogs in front of you. You've got hunters. In our case, we got a cameraman we like to keep around for a while. So you've got to take in all those things when you throw that shotgun up before you pull the trigger.
I think the most rewarding part was killing my first bird. And it took a day and a half to do so, and a lot of shells. Bring more shells than you think you need if you're new to it, because you will use them.
Oh!
Oh! A blind squirrel gets none every once in a while.
Back him up, man.
This is one of the most frustrating sports I've ever tried to do.
You're watching Bayou Wild TV, award-winning outdoor programming. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or visit the website BayouWildTV.com to watch past episodes. Closed captioning made possible by Explore Kayak Adventure Company. Fishing, sightseeing to photography tours, everything to make your paddling adventure happen. See Explore Kayak Adventure Company on Facebook and Instagram. Don't be that guy, unregistered, who catches a tagged bass and misses out on cash, a boat, or a truck. Don't be that guy. Sign up today at basscashbash.com.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane can do that. When you are cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. Fuel for our future. I'm Miss Louisiana Courtney Hammonds. For more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Want to be seen on a Bayou Wild episode? Sign up for our Cajun Invasion wild pheasant hunt in the remote hills of South Dakota in mid-November. Bad River Bucks and Birds provides lodging, meals, transportation, dogs, and bird cleaning. Details at dontheoutdoorsguide.com.
Once the fish is on, it's pretty much pandemonium. A lot of times they'll take you around grass patches and they can break you off that way. Your line gets caught on things, you have to set your paddle down and grab your rod and not take your eyes off the fish. It's so rewarding to be able to stalk the fish and be so close to them. And sometimes I make eye contact with the fish I'm about to catch, and that's pretty cool.
The Bayou Wild team is at a very different kind of place tonight. We're on Canal Street in downtown New Orleans at the Ritz-Carlton, and the purpose of being here is to honor a special team member of Bayou Wild TV.
To receive an award that's named after New Orleans' grand lady of the restaurant industry, Ella Brennan, Commander's Palace. And to think that a guy from outside of New Orleans was brought into the city to be honored in itself was overwhelming.
Hollering at each other, they're encouraging each other, but mostly they're ragging on you. You do not want to miss a rabbit and let anybody see you out here, or you will never hear the end of it.
I absolutely loved shooting with 3 other women today.
I've seen a lot of women, I feel like, but we were the only, I think, all-women team. It was fun. I had to get warmed up a little bit, I think.
My fellow teammates were awesome. They totally carried me. I think I was the handicap today.
Well, Wildlife and Fisheries through the Artificial Reef Trust Fund matches the money that CCA can generate through their partners with folks like Shell, Road Rock Recycling, and a lot of the others. There's nobody better at taking an idea or a concept to construction than CCA, and then partnering with Wildlife and Fisheries is just a logical choice. It's good for all Louisiana anglers, and this is really something special to see being deployed here today.
So we put this hard structure down here. Today in this case it was a helipad from a production platform. In other cases it's crushed concrete and limestone. But this provides that attachment point for the marine organisms to start the food chain, which also in turn goes up through the bait fish and through our sport fish. So this is a very important part of our habitat and our ecosystem.
This island had actually deteriorated to about 5 acres as a result of saltwater intrusion, erosion, subsidence, sea level rise, and as a result of the money from the BP oil spill settlement, which was earmarked for about $18.7 million for this specific project. We were able to take sediment out of the Mississippi River, put it on a barge, transport it here to Queen Bess Island, and then we have various dredges that are actually pumping that sediment in place to restore this island. So it was down to 5 acres, and we were able to restore this island up to 36 acres now. So critical habitat for migratory birds, as well as overall restoration and protection for this area.
The lessons that we try to teach for SCI is, number one is discipline, health, organization, conservation, family, church. I mean, it's all about the whole function, staying together as a team.
We never want to have one of our offspring, whether it's grandchildren and great-grandchildren, wake up and want to know what it used to be like to hunt. I don't want to impose that on anybody else, but I want them to always have the right to do it.
One of the reasons why Double D has been around for 50 years is because we are consistent with what built the business. And we go to great lengths to make sure that when you bring a deer or a hog or whatever it may be, your meat stays your meat all the way through the process. But we want to be as true to the original intent, which is a local meat company. And that's something that we want to maintain for as long as the Lord lets us do it.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a nonprofit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.
Welcome back. Once again, 2020 wasn't all that bad. We are highlighting some of the great memories we had from this past year. The tuna tail that I brought obviously was a little dried out. It was a couple weeks old and had been in the freezer. Is it harder to do smoother animals like that, like a tuna or a catfish or something that doesn't have that pronounced? Does that require more brushing up and more tuning?
It does. Something like tuna have scales. They're just really tiny. There is like a pattern on their skin that you can capture. Whenever it's dried out, it's sometimes harder to do that. But it requires a little bit different touch. I mean, I feel like every animal requires a different touch and a different application to the paint. Something like the Saco Lake, you brush in the direction of the scales so that you're not pulling the scales back and loosening them up where they come up with the print. Something like the tuna, it may not matter quite as much, but you're dealing with the brush strokes appearing on the fish.
Our favorite time of day is still 10 to 2 when that sunlight gets up, because that shade becomes your friend. It doesn't seem like they're spread out so much like they are in the morning times where you got a covered ground. but that shade pattern gets them in tight to the docks or tight to the laydowns on the shady side, and that's where we pattern them up real easy, and that's how you learn to fish Lake Verret. And there's nothing like timing. You got to go when the fish are biting.
Nervous, certainly uncertain, but I can promise you this, I'm not going to sit around here right now and mope about it. Hunting season just opened up, and I'm looking forward to doing some of that.
He was an outdoorsman. I think that was his piece, if that makes sense. I think he loved playing football. He was headstrong and he was body strong, but his piece was in the outdoors, always. It was even more so a determination thing for myself, because if I'm going to set out to do something, I'm going to get it done. May not do it well, but it will be done. So I was proud of myself nonetheless.
In your face! I spent almost a year on this. And I caught it for my daughter. And when I took it to the world, I was so impressed. It's when the guy held it up, that was it. You know, it's a hell of a feeling.
Speckled trout's usually the main target, but you always stumble upon some redfish, sometimes some jack crevalles too. Those are always fun to fight. Oh, this ain't a redfish. This is the kind of trout we're looking for this morning. Whatever I got right here's got some shoulders. Oh man, I'm kind of suspect to being a redfish. That's the beauty about fishing this surf here, is that you might catch a big bull redfish, you might catch a huge, trophy-sized speckled trout.
We started off going through one of the weirs off of the ship channel into the marsh, found some clear water, and first fish of the day was a flounder, which was really a blessing.
Oh,
good, good save!
And you didn't want the net.
Well, Captain Kirk wanted to put $1 on the first fish, and I kind of hesitated for a minute, and I said, after this one bit, I said, well, I think it was 20 is what I heard. But he called the fish. He said, right where you cast, right there along that shoreline there, you might get a flounder. And sure enough, we got a flounder.
Look here, I'm cussing. You're gonna have to edit everything I say. It was a great experience to be here with, Yvette Girard, the great softball coach, and she grew up in South Louisiana and just has a tremendous amount of knowledge about fishing in Louisiana, and she was just really very, very experienced and a lot of fun to be on the boat with. I am the winner. I am the winner. And then Fran Flory, our great volleyball coach from LSU, and also he grew up here in Louisiana and loves the state and has a tremendous amount of appreciation.
This is like the second time I came. Yvette and I have come down here one other time and had a similar experience.
After the 5.5 hour fight, we were 25 miles off the beach.
On one of these last runs, the fish was dead, right? So it's, the rod's still moving around, but that's because you just got this massive thing down there, 1,000 feet below the boat, and we're just trying to maneuver it up. So they decided to do what they call planing. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll lock down the drag, and we'll goose the boat forward, and every time we do that, and then you crank it, right? And we're getting 10 feet at a time. I'm starting to get a little paranoid because every time line would go out, it would ping. Like, so I'm like, okay, well, long and short of it, so probably 20 minutes of this fight was that. It was 5 feet at a time.
Off the Cajun coast, there's a place called Cocoa Tree. That's where you wanna be to get away from it all. crabs in the sand, cold blood melting in your hand, catching redfish not far from the land, down in Cocoa Tree.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
Don't be that guy, unregistered, who catches a tagged bass and misses out on cash, a boat, or a truck. Don't be that guy. Sign up today at basscashbash.com.
So we're here at the Star Banquet with Abigail Schaefer, and she's going to tell us all the secrets about fishing. Abigail, where did you catch this fish?
I actually do not know.
You don't know? What kind of fish was it?
A speckled trout.
Fantastic. Did you have a great time?
Yes, I did.
Well, thank you for fishing Star, and y'all have to fish next year.
I'm Abigail, and I won this boat fishing in the Star Tournament.
Add the taste of Louisiana to your next meal. If you like creamy, bold, tangy, or spicy, bring home the taste of Louisiana with sauces from Louisiana Fish Fry products.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
This is the first time I got to actually participate in the egg collection. I tell you, it's fascinating, and one of the most impressive things is the way that they use technology today to go up in the helicopter with a GPS, identify where those nests are, and then pinpoint the airboat to get there for the collection part.
But we still not reinventing the wheel. You still got to find the nest, you got to go to it, you got to talk sweet to mama, rub her behind the ear and get the eggs.
Having Rhett with us today was awesome, man. What he does to promote South Louisiana and our culture and our heritage and our slang, man, the stuff that he can come up with on a whim, it would take me a yellow pad in a week to come up with some of that stuff.
You can do some alligator CrossFit training, chap. Look at this. We're gonna mix this up with a little Bayou yoga next time, like this. Now we do some land lunges, like this.
Back in March when everything shut down, like everybody else, I was depressed. And I was like, how are we gonna get out of this? And the only way I know how to get out of this is making people laugh. That's it.
What is the future of this legacy? What's gonna happen to these birds when PJ's gone to hunt on the great beyond? What happens to this collection?
So that's a great question, and it's being debated in the home. You know, it's like one of those strange inheritances.
We got here and the wind was different. I just went to the other side and kind of looked for the same thing where I was catching fish.
So if you're driving down Highway 57 here in Terrebonne Parish between Dulac and Cocodrie, you might see this white sign here. It's a marker of a murder that occurred back in 2003. And you can imagine the surprise if you found out that your name was the same as one of a murder victim dumped on a bayou road.
Thanks for watching Bayou Wild TV. Remember, Season 6 is coming soon. Stay tuned. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and go like our YouTube channel, Bayou Wild TV. You'll see all new updates and new episodes coming your way.
Bayou Wild TV was a creation of course, 3 people. Myself, Chris Lecoq, who is our producer, editor, and co-host Martha Spencer. And each of us contributes something to it. And our logo, our slogan kind of says it all. Sportsmanship, adventure, and heritage.
I love living in Louisiana because the whole Cajun culture is just based around being outside. People in Louisiana take pride in living off the land, and that goes back into family heritage, cooking, survival. With Bayou Wild, we've been able to not only do all these activities, but also see some of the history behind them.
Well, video gets more competitive every single day because everybody out there can take a video with their phone, they can use a GoPro. Video is becoming much more consumer and not professional anymore. So I'm always trying to challenge myself with thinking of different ways to set myself apart from just anybody else who can pick up a camera, shoot a video, and put it on YouTube.
Look, CCA Louisiana has been a sponsor of the Bayou Wild show, but mainly it's a partnership. Between Don, Martha, Chris, the whole team, they're great promoters of what we do because they believe in it. They're engaged, they know what they're doing, and they know how to get the message across.
There's a lot of fabulous chefs and cooks and home cooks in Louisiana that inspire me every single day. But the topics I speak about, the ingredients and the recipes, the stories I tell, come from people like Don Dubuque and all of those wonderful people I've met along the way. I didn't come up with them myself. You might want to take a piece of that.
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
Whoa! Drive by. Whether it's been an excursion to another state or at home, it shows me why people like to come to Louisiana. The things that we do for fun are literally bucket list trips for other people.
And so I guess that's where I find my inspiration. I'm always trying to push myself further than I did before. So I'm always trying to maybe raise the bar for the story that I'm trying to tell through video.
But really what we're showcasing is the culture, the heritage, the people, and the resources of Louisiana and the Gulf Coast.